Today we're going to be talking about the art of arguing. As someone who hates arguing and kind of shuts down in arguments, I think I have mastered how to argue. I don't know, I want to talk about it, and this YouTube channel is like my podcast, so let's chat. So again, like I kind of shut down when it comes to anger. I also get really emotional, and 9 times out of 10 I will start crying no matter what. Even if I'm trying to get my point across, I will be the one crying. Comes out the most when I'm arguing with someone, especially when it's someone that I love. I'm a very straightforward and blunt person, and I feel like I can communicate my point across to almost anybody, but if I'm talking to somebody that I love, I will get emotional about it just because I am more protective of their feelings compared to other people's, you know? And also it comes from frustration because it's like you hate arguing with people that you love because you want it to just like be solved and work so badly and you just want to be happy again with that person. But anyways, I used to be a D1 arguer. Like I went like 3-4 years ago, if you knew me, I used to raise my voice, I used to scream, I used to get really angry, and I don't think I do as much of that anymore because over the years, I've definitely learned how to communicate in a straightforward, blunt manner without raising my voice. And I'm 10 times better when I'm arguing over text, or if I have the opportunity to write down what I'm trying to convey first and then say it out loud, I'm 10 times better. If it's just like barking at each other, then I'm really not a good performer in that sense. But if I'm able to write it down, I'm really good with like fully explaining my thought process. I have come to realize that when you're arguing with people that you love, it's two people versus the problem. It's not you versus the other person, it's you guys versus the issue. And this goes for boyfriends, girlfriends, moms, dads, friends, whatever. If you're arguing with someone you love, that is the case. It's two people versus the problem. Because at the end of the day, you love that person, you want to protect their feelings, and you just want to be able to solve the issue at hand. So why are you're not battling each other, you're battling the problem that you guys have. If the other person doesn't see it this way, you will have an issue communicating. Because if the other person is seeing it as a person versus person situation, their initial response is to get defensive and kind of defend why they did whatever they did or defend their side of the argument versus you're just trying to find solutions. So if both people are not on the same page of two people versus the problem is just going to keep happening over and over and over again. Somebody that I value the opinion of very much has repeatedly told me that I lack accountability and things, and that like I always try to take the victim stance. But in my point of view, like when I'm explaining the way things hurt me, it's not that I want to be the victim or that I want attention from it. It's that I'm trying to communicate how that person hurt me. Because again, it's two people versus the problem. So I think I have trouble communicating the differences between like being the victim and then also explaining like how their actions actually hurt me. But I've learned to just like verbally say it. Like you have to verbally explain that, like, hey, I'm taking full accountability, no justifications for my actions. I'm not trying to be the victim. I don't think you're wrong in any case, but this is how I feel, kind of thing. I think taking the time to explain that kind of frames the issue in the other person's mind, being like, okay, like they are understanding what they did wrong. They are willing to take accountability, kind of thing, but at the end of the day, I did hurt their feelings. And in that sense, you can also move forward and solve the issue. I also think that the willingness to talk about things over and over and over again is showing that you actually give a shit about the problem and actually want to solve it. If someone hits you with the, I don't have anything else left to say, or I don't know how else to explain it to you, or we talk about this way too much, kind of thing, you know, I don't know, that kind of gives me the notion that they just don't want to solve it, because if they did want to solve it, they'd want to talk about it and explain it, even if it takes 100 times. Like if you love someone, you love someone, and you're going to make it work, kind of thing. Example, with my mom, sometimes we argue about the same things 15, 20 different times, and I say the same thing 20 different times, but I have that patience because I love her and I want to solve the issue with her. I recently had a disagreement with someone and we were like going back and forth in text message, which I agree, texting is not like the best way of communicating, but it is a way to like fully write out everything. I think texting, you lack tone and you lack body language, so you can't really see how the other person conveys that message unless you really, really know that person. So I think obviously like an in-person conversation is the best way to solve any arguments, but we were texting about it because I was traveling. And the argument was just like, I feel like it was a misunderstanding about a lot of things. Like I had expectations, the other person had expectations, and they were not met on both sides. And I took the opportunity to say like, hey, this is how I interpreted what you just said. This is how it registered in my head, and that really hurt my feelings. And in that sense, like if you get that text message, the other person's job is to kind of explain like, you either got it right, like that is exactly how I meant it, or I didn't mean to hurt your feelings and you interpreted it wrong. This is how I meant it, you know? Even if it takes 100 times. But in this case, like this person was like, if that's the way you interpreted it, I have nothing else to say. And when I got that message, I was just kind of like, you know what? I feel like I'm constantly barking about the same issues over and over again because I actually want to fix the issues and I actually want to see progress. But if the other person is just kind of giving up on the conversation and not willing to explain their point of view, then they don't want to solve it. Like that's just them telling me they don't want to solve it. Again, like maybe they're just tired of talking about the same thing. Maybe they're just tired of being misunderstood. But if you're trying to work something out with someone that you love, like you don't really have room to be tired. Like everybody gets tired of arguing. Nobody likes it. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to fix it, you're trying to fix it. There are no excuses. I fully think everything is solvable with conversation and actions. You know, like your actions will speak louder than your words. I feel like if you're actively making a point to change something in your life, that should be recognized. everything is solvable in my opinion. And I think maybe that's something that maybe that's a flaw of mine, because I don't really feel like anybody should end a relationship based on miscommunication when it's just a conversation that could fix things. Let me know if that's like unreasonable. I feel like at a certain point, it's not your job to convince people to see you as a good person. If you are a good person, you are a good person, and your loved ones will know that about you. And if you're continuously over and over again trying to prove to someone else that you're a good person, at the end of the day, like, there's only so much convincing that you can do, you know? Like, that person has their opinion formed, and if they're repeatedly telling you the same thing over and over again and only pointing out the negatives and only pointing out the fact that you'll never change kind of thing, and not pointing out the fact that like you're actually making small efforts or highlighting like the good things that are happening, they're not focused on finding the good. They're not focused on the good at all. Like, they're only focused on the negative, which is another thing that I had to learn the hard way, that if you're constantly focused on the negative, maybe even the positive isn't positive enough to outweigh the negative. Maybe it's just too negative that it can't be reversed. It kind of goes hand in hand with the bare minimum. Sometimes your bare minimum will be another person's maximum effort, and there's nothing wrong with that. That just means that they're probably the wrong person to be expecting things from, because if they feel like they are truly trying their best in certain things and it's just not enough for you at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's ever asking for too much. I just think that you're asking the wrong person. I personally am someone who hates asking. I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, if you want something in a relationship, just ask for it. I hate asking, because I feel like when you ask, the person's only doing it because you asked, not because they wanted to. For example, flowers, you know? Like, if I have to ask for flowers, that means they didn't want to give me flowers, you know? Again, could be flawed thinking, could be a personal issue of mine. I hate asking. If you're going to do something, do it because you want to do it, not because I asked you to do it. This goes for anything. Like, I've had people being like, oh, do you want me to DoorDash you food? Like, obviously I'm not going to say yes, because that's an inconvenience to you. Like, but if you want to DoorDash me food, and I'm going to be really happy getting it kind of thing, because it's like, oh, you thought of me, you know, and you wanted to take care of me. But not because I asked you to. I'm trying to do a lot of personal growth recently. I let my guard down and my ego down, and I actually asked for flowers. I was like, yo, please get me flowers. I really like them, you know? I still didn't get flowers. I still didn't get my flowers. Sometimes even when you ask, it's not going to happen because the other person just truly doesn't want to do it. There's a movie called He's Just Not That Into You, or something like that. And in that movie, the guy basically tells the girl, he's like, listen, like, if a guy's not texting you, he just doesn't want to. If he's not gifting you things, he doesn't want to. If he's not picking you up, he doesn't want to. Like, there are no excuses. If you want to do something for someone out of love, you do it out of love. My love language is acts of service, and I love going out of my way for people, and I love inconveniencing myself to show the other person that I love them, you know? Whether it be cooking, washing their car, organizing their closet, like anything. For example, like with my long distance friends, you know, like if I go and visit them in their apartment, like I go out of my way to like clean their apartment, do their dishes, organize their closet, fold their laundry, cook for them kind of thing, you know, because that's in person is the way I show love the best. But also, like, if you're a long distance, like there have been times that I've DoorDashed people food, or I've sent them coffee money to just be like, hey, I know you're having a long day, but like, here's some money for coffee. Acts of service, because you can't do something physically in person, but you can show that person that if you were there, you would do it for them, you know? Circling back to the argument phase of things, this is the problem with every time I sit down to film a YouTube video, I have a topic I want to talk about, and then I start yapping, and it just ends up in another topic. Going back to the argument thing, if you're arguing with someone and they are failing to realize how their actions are affecting you, and they're not taking the time to be sensitive towards the argument and actually like talk to you as a human being and not name call you and not belittle you all the time, that's not an argument. That's them defending themselves. That's them telling you that you're a bad person and they're a better person than you, and that's why you're wrong. And if you're arguing with someone that you love and they're constantly just pointing the finger at you saying like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, it's not an argument anymore. Like, they have their mind made up. I hope that makes sense. I went on like 6 different rants, so I just wanted to chat about something that was put on my mind, because again, this YouTube channel is my podcast for my 200 subscribers and 20 views per video. So if you watch this, thanks, love you lots. Thanks for the support, and let me know if any of this made sense, or if I should just